Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. Really, what if Tesla got their production costs to zero? Is that possible? Is that too crazy? When I say production cost, I mean cost of goods sold per vehicle to zero. Well, okay, perhaps not quite zero, but maybe under $1,000? Relatively negligible? Alright, what am I on about now? How could Tesla make cars for virtually nothing and have almost 100% margin on an EV? Fast forward to 2035, a year I feel has sufficient enough time for Tesla to have finally matured as a company and is probably only trading around a PE ratio of 30, or maybe higher. Yes, I think Tesla's PE ratio should be that high even when mature if we're in the same economic climate as today, like interest rates staying where they are. I mean, by then, Tesla would have an enormous energy and transport business. Okay, sure, robotics and AI company too. But providing utilities that people depend on, it would still feel like a secure investment. And with a P ratio of 30, if Tesla offer all earnings and dividends, then it's still a 3% return. Therefore, we obviously have level 5 autonomy at this stage too. And it's likely reached levels we can't imagine. We would have robots able to perform incredible tasks with intelligence we've never seen before. Tesla is just about fully vertically integrated from mining the elements to delivering the end product, maybe even making their own microchips by this stage too, as I would say Tesla will need a lot of microchips. Okay, so Tesla owns the mines. Tesla's using their robots to mine the elements. The robots run on battery and can recharge with solar energy. The cost of energy from the sun is zero. In this scenario, it's moot how much the robots cost. We're only concerned about the cost of manufacturing a car. Okay, so nickel, lithium, iron, sand, etc. is all mined by Tesla's robots, who are likely doing a very efficient job and working just about 24/7. In fact, perhaps they can work 24/7 and once a day need to be plugged in to charge, but they can still work whilst recharging with an extension cable or something. Anyway, everything they mine will then be transported to a Tesla smelting facility to turn the raw ore into finished metal alloys. Of course, it will be transported on a self-driving truck that uses batteries and again recharges from the sun. Although, on the other hand, it may be more sensible to have the smelting facilities on site at the mines to save additional transportation. So the elements arrive at the various intended facilities. Cost of production so far in this process, well, let's quickly add it up. 0 plus 0 plus 0. Let me get my calculator out, and it comes to 0. Now, it's highly possible that there may need to be some humans overseeing the mining perhaps, but given the amount the robots are mining, the relative labour to production cost is negligible. Then these metals and alloys are transported autonomously to the actual production plants. The materials arrive on site, and the robots start placing them in the appropriate production lines. The production lines then go through various processes of making various components, batteries, powertrains, motors. Then, once the battery packs are complete, they're then autonomously delivered to the car factory. Again, you may need some humans to keep an eye on all of it. Then, there are other various components entering into the car assembly factory that have been on similar automated production processes too, along with Tesla's die-cast molds. The car assembly process starts with the usual car robotics and the human robots to assist, just like we have humans currently. These robots should be capable of doing everything a human can, and likely significantly faster, which is good, because I have a feeling the production line is moving so quick at this stage, a regular human wouldn't be able to keep up anyway. Then, the finished product comes off the line, it goes through its regular checks, possibly performed by a human robot, or perhaps the car can simply check itself, and take itself for a test drive. Then, once approved, it is added into the inventory in the car park, where there is another robot, or robots, assigning each car to its customer, and then pressing a button for the car to go and deliver itself to said customer. The car can charge itself along the journey. It will record the journey too, so if there are any incidents on the way, then Tesla will know who is at fault. It might still be wrapped too, so it remains pristine. The car arrives at the customer's address and simply phones the customer and or texts them, informing them that their car has been delivered to their address. Please confirm collection. Why do you think Elon wants a factory on every continent? So they can deliver themselves. I mean, can you imagine how massive a headache you would remove by having no logistics for delivery, especially when we're talking tens of millions of cars a year? Okay, some island nations may require the car to be delivered to a port and go on a ship to be delivered, but they can still drive themselves to a port. Okay, I don't think I need my calculator this time. I think the cost is still just about zero. Although this entire process has used up a lot of energy in the manufacturing, but all these facilities are solar and battery powered, so we have zero cost of power. Alright, well, what other utilities might there be? Well, there'll be water and general running costs of the facilities like taxes, but any maintenance work can likely be done by robots. What about other material costs that Tesla cannot mine? Yes, which is why we factored in about $1,000 for any such costs and necessary labour. I mean, Tesla will likely still need oil to make plastics, although plastics really are cheap. But Tesla don't use leather seats, they went vegan. The next step I would love to see, and I really mean it, I would truly love this to happen, if Tesla makes plastics sans crude oil. Yeah, Tesla should put more nails in the oil companies' coffins too, once they've finished off the legacy autos. Let's reshape industry, paradigms, and ethics. Okay, but this will cost an absolute fortune. Well, probably. But luckily, by this stage, Tesla is worth about 100 absolute fortunes. It's just an initial capital outlay, which can likely be self-funded and eventually with no debt. Even if there was debt on the capital, then it would still not factor into the cost of goods sold. Remember, we still have sales, general and admin expenses, along with R&D, stock-based compensation, tax, interest, etc. So although gross profit margins may be something like 95%, perhaps net profit might be closer to 60%. This could be looked at as more of an ROI exercise. If Tesla invests, say, $1 trillion, which, by the way, is unfathomable, but let's work with it anyway, and this investment meant that Tesla only saved $10,000 on a cost per vehicle, then that's a huge increase in profit margin still. Well, $1 trillion invested with an ROI of 10% would mean that Tesla need an extra net profit of $100 billion a year. Therefore, they wouldn't even need to be selling many more than 10 million vehicles a year to justify such an investment. But remember, $1 trillion is beyond insane. Just think that it cost about $2 billion to just build Shanghai, and I don't think we're going to require about 500 times that amount to put it into perspective. Can you imagine the equivalent of 500 gigafactories? Right. So I don't think that much capital is even close to necessary to achieve this. Likely less than 1/10 that. And if the likes of Ford and GM are able to borrow on half of their market cap to invest in EVs, then surely Tesla can borrow about 1/10. Of course, Tesla probably has the cash lying around anyway by this time. Is this even possible? Well, I'm not sure to what extent this could be achieved, but surely we could see a path to something that resembles it over time. What all this does do is reduce the cost of production, which in turn add directly to profit margins. Or alternatively, it can be used to further reduce prices and increase demand and sales. Either way, profits increase. Okay, maybe Tesla can't get quite this low, and there are other factors I've missed, but this is something we will continue to see headed in that direction. To what extent, we don't know. But remember, Ford went to the extent of starting their own civilization in the Amazon to grow rubber. It was meant to be a utopia named Fordlandia. It was, however, a failure, but you get the idea. On top of that, we're seeing more and more parts and processes being removed at the same time, so there are actually fewer robots, processes, and materials required for the same product. Like, as we've just witnessed again in the Berlin Festival, that Tesla are now attaching the seats directly to the structural battery pack, thus saving the process of robots installing the seats in the car. I never thought I could be this interested in manufacturing, but impressive is impressive, no matter in what context. Of course, this production process won't just be for cars, but everything Tesla ended up making. The point is, Tesla's costs are only going to keep coming down. Oh, and how can any of the competition compete with this? Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.